have to look at Stoicism and Epicureanism. Though we did ancient classical aesthetics, ancient Greek aesthetics, we did not look at Stoicism then. Now we are looking at it. What do you know by Stoicism? What do you understand by Stoicism? Stoic, calm. That is used in a phrase. It means used as a phrase in English today. Very often when we read or listen to something, we hear that word. It's used as an adjective very often. What does it mean? Stoic, क्या होते हैं? Stoic. To be a stoic person. What it means? Firm, strong-willed. Some people are responding. I want all of you to respond. Either open your camera and speak or just type your answer. What do you understand by stoic? Have you heard that term? Or are you hearing it for the first time? I don't think you are hearing it for the first time because it is a word which is in currency even in modern language. Stoicism, literally it means something else. It doesn't have anything to do with, Pradikya says it's a person who is grounded, a person who is calm, a person who is not too emotional. So that kind of people are usually referred to when we say stoic. A stoic personality, a stoic calm, a stoic firmness. It is used as an adjective very often. So the term comes from a poikele stoa. That is that Greek text there. A poikele stoa. You can read like this: stoa poikele. A poikele stoa. That is written there. Stoa poikele, and it literally means a painted porch. And what is this painted porch? That is the literal meaning from which this word comes. And the actual sense of the term does not have anything to do with the literal meaning. So this name came from the place where they gathered in order to discuss their philosophy. So in the Agora at Athens, there was a porch which was decorated with mural paintings. The members of the school gathered there in order to listen to the lectures. So from that place where they gathered, it was a painted porch, stoa poikele or a poikele stoa. They gathered there, and it is from that place that stoic, stoa, from stoa, that word comes, stoic. So in order to give you an understanding of what it is, I will just go through the important or key principles of Stoicism. They hold that emotions like fear, envy, or impassioned sexual attachments or passionate love for anything whatsoever either were or arose from false judgments. So either they are false judgments or they arose from false judgments. And they held that only a sage, a person who had attained moral and intellectual perfection, would not undergo them, who will be able to overcome them. For that he must be a sage or a man of moral or intellectual perfection. So in a way, a kind of enlightened person can only withstand or overcome that kind of negative emotions, negative feelings. So this is the basic ideas. This is their basic idea. The later Stoics of Roman imperial times, Seneca and Epictetus, emphasize the doctrines already central to the early Stoics also, that the sage is utterly immune to misfortune. If somebody is a sage, he is utterly immune to misfortune. And that virtue is sufficient for happiness. If you want to be happy, lead a virtuous life. Virtue is sufficient. There are also even very radical views which the Stoics defended. Like only the sage is free and all others are slaves. Only means that there is a very radical way of understanding Stoicism. Only the sage is free. All others are slave to these passions and negative emotions. All those who are morally vicious are equally slaves. So that is a radical view of Stoicism. Now we have to come to Neo-Stoicism. Neo-Stoicism is a name given to a late Renaissance philosophical movement that attempted to revive ancient Stoicism in a form that would be acceptable to Christian audience. So when Stoicism emerged in ancient Greece, there was no Christianity. Now Christianity is very prominent. So when they revived Stoicism, they also wanted to make it acceptable for Christian audience. And these are some of the most important figures when we try to learn Neo-Stoicism. Justus Lipsius De Constantia on Constancy. There is a book by him. And these are some other figures. Guillaume du Vair, I don't know how to read that French name. Pierre Charon. Francisco de Quevedo. Michel de Montaigne. So in order to make Stoicism more acceptable to Christian audience, what they did was either they rejected some of the premises of Stoicism or they modified it. There were certain parts of Stoic system, especially physical doctrines such as materialism and determinism. Both were not very acceptable to the Christian audience. So they either modified or rejected. Pure materialism. Actually, materialism is a form of philosophical monism that holds matter is the fundamental substance in nature. And all things, including mental states, consciousness, or whatever it be, they are all result of the interaction of the material. So that is materialism. So they rejected or modified materialism. And determinism is, in philosophy, it's a theory that all events, including moral choices, are completely determined by previous existing causes. So even a moral choice is determined previously by some causes, some kind of causes. So I behave in a particular way, a morally bad way, because of some causes. That is the way determinism is understood philosophically. So in such, there are certain premises of Stoicism which were modified or even rejected in order to make it more acceptable to the Christian audience. For Neo-Stoicism, it was not just an attempt to revive a scholarly interest in the ancient Stoic thought. Neo-Stoicism, it does not simply mean there was a scholarly interest in the ancient Stoic thought, but it was rather to revive Stoicism as a living philosophical movement, a way of living. So that was the attempt done by many of the scholars, many of the proponents of Stoic philosophy. Many of the proponents of Stoic philosophy, they were attempting to revive Stoicism as a living philosophical movement. So one of the key texts founding this movement was by Justus Lipsius De Constantia on Constancy, published in 1584. Another exponent is Guillaume du Vair. Can somebody read that names? Is there somebody who can read French?
Yeah.
Please help Rebecca. Can you read that name?
Hello, am I audible?
Now audible.
Guillaume du Vair, Pierre Charon, Francisco de Quevedo, that I'm not sure, Michel de Montaigne.
Michel de Montaigne. And the second name is Guillaume.
Guillaume du Vair.
Once more, I couldn't hear.
Guillaume du Vair.
Guillaume du Vair. Okay, thank you.
Guillaume, yeah, yes.
Thank you. So, he was another exponent of Neo-Stoicism. And all these people, they were all exponents of Neo-Stoicism. And there is a term that was coined during that time, Christian Stoicism. In some of the articles we find the term Christian Stoicism. Strictly speaking, it is a contradiction in terms, Christian Stoicism. Although Stoicism was characterized as a pantheist philosophy, it is also a materialist and determinist philosophy. For that reason, the Orthodox Christian can never at the same time be a Stoic. Okay, there were attempts to synthesize both these traditions, they were trying to present it in a way that it is acceptable to Christian audience. Even then, when you go to the roots of both these traditions, they cannot go together. So Christian Stoicism, it's a contradiction in term most of the time. An Orthodox Christian may be able to admire some parts of Stoicism, some of the elements, but not all. So that's about Stoicism, the revival of Stoicism.